Is the Indian Parliament. Before we actually discuss about this chapter, let us first recall what we learned in the previous chapter. We learnt about the system of government as given in Indian Constitution. We learnt about parliamentary system. We also discussed the characteristics of Indian parliamentary system. We learnt the reasons why India adopted parliamentary system as the government system. We also discussed what is presidential system of government along with the difference between parliamentary and presidential system of government. Now let us begin with today's chapter, the Indian Parliament. First of all, let us discuss the structure and formation of Indian Parliament. The Constitution of India has created the Parliament. The legislature at the national level, that is the level of the central government, is called the Parliament. And what does a legislature mean? It means a government body which has the power to make and amend laws. Students, the Indian Parliament consists of three elements. They are the President of India, then two houses of Parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Two houses of the Parliament, they are called as Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now let us discuss about both these houses, making a comparison between them. The Lok Sabha is known as the lower and the first house of Parliament, whereas Rajya Sabha is known as the upper and second house of the Parliament. In Lok Sabha, members are directly elected by the people. And so we have general elections after every 5 years to elect these members. Whereas Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. It means it never gets dissolved completely. 1/3 members who complete their 6 years tenure, they retire after every 2 years and then new members get elected. And so Rajya Sabha is called as permanent house. There are total 552 members in the Lok Sabha, and in Rajya Sabha there are 250 members. Out of them 238 are elected from the constituent states and others are elected by the President. 12 members appointed by the President are usually experienced and distinguished personalities from the fields of literature, arts, science, sports, and social work. We all know about the Rajya Sabha members like Sachin Tendulkar, Lata Mangeshkar, and Mrs. Jaya Bachchan. Now you must have heard about MPs. Who are they? These are the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. They are called as MPs. What do they do? MPs, they try to resolve the queries and complaints of their constituencies by raising questions in the parliament. Government allocates them funds to carry out development work in their respective constituencies. Now it's time for us to discuss about the functions of the Parliament. The first function and the most, which is known as the primary function of Parliament, is the formulation of laws. In order to achieve welfare of the people and the objective of the Constitution, the Parliament has to formulate new laws. Also, outdated laws are repealed. Necessary changes are also made in some laws. The process of the formulation of laws has been described in the Constitution, and in accordance to the procedures, the Parliament fulfills this primary and the important responsibility of formulation of laws. The second function of Parliament is control over Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers are drawn from the Parliament, and Parliament exercises control over them. There are multiple ways, various ways through which this control can be exercised. It is the responsibility of the Parliament to see that the Council of Ministers does not disregard the Parliament and functions under its supervision. Disregarding the Parliament means not following the rules, regulations for the function of the Parliament. The third function is amendments to the Constitution. The Parliament decides whether to make any amendment to the Indian Constitution. What does amendment means? In simple words, some laws, some rules, they need to be modified. They need to be thought about again as per the changing times, and changes are to be made in those laws. They are known as amendments. The Constitution Amendment Bill is considered to be the important bill. The Parliament discusses why the amendment is required and decides whether to accept it or not. The Constitution mentions various ways of amending the Constitution. Which are those ways? The first one, there are few provisions in the Indian Constitution are amended by simple majority of the Parliament. Then some provisions require special majority, that is 2/3 of the members of the Parliament should give the majority. And the third way is few other provisions are amended by special majority of the Parliament plus consent from more than half of the constituent states. In this way, amendments are made by the Parliament. To function very smoothly and to execute the work, both the houses require officials, higher officials and leaders. Let us discuss about Lok Sabha first. Lok Sabha has the Speaker. In the very first meeting after the elections of Lok Sabha, the members of Lok Sabha elect a Speaker and a Deputy Speaker from amongst themselves. Lok Sabha functions under the guidance and control of the Speaker. Lok Sabha represents the citizen and the Speaker represents the Lok Sabha. After getting elected as Speaker, the person has to conduct the business of the House in an unbiased manner without being partial. Lok Sabha members have some rights and privileges as the representatives of the people. These are taken care of by the Speaker. Apart from this, the Speaker has to maintain the decorum and dignity of the House as well as interpret the rules of daily functioning of the House and work accordingly. Maintaining decorum and dignity of the House. It means the Speaker has to take care that all the members are working as per their profiles and there is no act of indiscipline or insult of the Parliament. Now, if we wish to speak about the Rajya Sabha, they have the chairman. The chairman controls over the functioning of Rajya Sabha. The Vice President of India is the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. The functions of Rajya Sabha chairman also include maintaining the discipline in the house, facilitating discussions for the members, and giving members a chance to speak. Now we come to another important part of the lesson. In the initial discussions, we learnt that Parliament make laws. Now let us see what is the process of making laws for the Parliament. So now we are going to discuss law making process in the Parliament. In our country, the Parliament is given powers to make laws. To formulate them, a certain system has been adopted. This system is known as law making process, and we are going to discuss about it now. First, a rough draft of the law is prepared. This draft or outline is known as draft proposal of the law or bill of law. So initially, this bill of law is prepared. There are two types of bills again that are primarily introduced in the House of the Parliament. Which are those? They are money bill and ordinary bill. In order to be converted into an act, it means in order to get converted a bill into a law, this bill undergoes some process. And we are going to discuss this process now. What is this process? The first one is first reading. The minister of the concerned department or ministry or member of the Parliament presents the bill, briefly explains its nature while presenting it. This is called as first reading. So this is the first step. After preparing the draft, first reading is done in the Parliament. The second step is the second reading. There are two stages of second reading. In the first stage, the objectives of the proposed bill are discussed and members in the House express their opinions on it. The supporters of the bill give favorable opinions, while the opponents, they discuss the defects and faults in the bill. This discussion actually gives all aspects of the draft and then it can be considered for making laws. After the discussion within the House, as per the requirement, the bill is sent to a committee of the House. The committee report consisting of instructions and recommendations is sent to the House in order to make this bill flawless without any faults. Now comes the second phase. Now the second phase of the reading, when it begins, in this phase the bill is discussed clause by clause. Members can suggest changes and after this voting is taken in the House. Then comes the third stage. The bill is discussed briefly again during the third reading. Voting is taken for approving the bill. If the bill gets an assent by the required majority, then the bill is considered as passed by the House. The bill undergoes the same procedure even in the other House. It means the procedure is same for both the Houses for converting a draft or a bill into a law or act. After getting an approval by both the Houses, the bill is further sent for the assent by the President. If there occurs a difference of opinion between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha over a specific bill, the future of this bill is decided in a joint meeting of both the Houses. After the final assent and signature of the President, the bill is converted into the law and the law is made. This is how law making process takes place in the Parliament. In this way, Students, we learnt about the Parliament of India in this chapter, the elements or what the Parliament consists of, what are the functions of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. We learnt about the members, the heads, and we also discussed the law-making process in the Parliament. I hope all of you got it. Thank you very much.